Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? It's RFBM, Raising the Financial Bar with Mar. So, as you see here, I got my boy Rashaun out here. This is also my uncle, We've had content in the past, and I just wanted to get back on it so we can just discuss various topics. If you've seen the thumbnail, it's navigating finances in 2022, economic news and just entrepreneurship as well, because there's a lot of different topics that we talk about. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into it. What's going on, bro? We got a couple of things to unpack. Go ahead and introduce yourself. You don't got to be all Mr. Humble all the time to say what it is, but we have some topics to unpack. So just give them a little intro real quick.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Thank you for having me, Mar. Again, my name is Rashaun. I go by Sean. For those of you that haven't seen or didn't see the video previously, I've done a video or two with Shamar before, and as he mentioned, I'm his uncle. So again, it's definitely an honor to be on here with you once again to chop it up and talk finance.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And the crazy thing is, just for everyone to know, whether they check in live or they see this when it gets posted later. Shout out to my boy Debt Free Dad that told me about StreamYard. So I'm definitely going to use this more often. This is my first time, and honestly, there's so many things that you can do within here. So I'm definitely interested. But yeah, man. First thing I want to start it off too. A lot of people don't know. When I first started out, we were brainstorming on me and my uncle, because I was telling them, I was like, hey, there's a couple of things that I want to run by you. I'm trying to start this, finance, like kind of money related topics, not going to take myself too serious or go crazy, and even now with this episode, we'll be a lot more relaxed than we were in the past. Just casually talking. I think we were a little bit
Yeah,
too 30. Yeah,
I
a
was
little too tense, but just hopping in just to discuss a couple of things. But with RFBM, it was actually my uncle that came up with the final concept for the name. And of course, it's in totality raising the financial bar with Mar. And it was just like came full circle. I was like, ah, man, this is perfect. This is perfect, because I was trying to get an idea with also the visualization. And honestly, I might rebrand with the other logo I have. I like the RFBM, but there's like the weight, you're kind of just raising the bar and everything. But once he said, I was like, yeah, I like this. And I was like, well, let me get our acronym too, because if I keep going around, hey, this is raising the financial bar with Mar, it's gonna take a little while to ingrain. So that's why I always was RFBM, raising the financial bar with Mar. But yeah, man, so that's the background. If you guys didn't know, that's my uncle definitely came through with that. But yeah, a couple of things here, man. It's 2022 now, and it's been a couple of years since the early slot of you know what. I don't know if I say the term,
yeah,
if
no,
it gets a
don't
shadow
don't
there,
don't even
but and everybody's
speak over
trying to, yeah, exactly. Everybody's trying to recover and everything, but honestly, let's start it off with, what do you think currently? How do you currently feel the economy is compared to how it was in 2020?
Man, I mean things. I mean, anyone can see that the economy, it's night and day between what it
Mhm.
was in 2020. Now, when you say 2020, are we talking about pre-COVID, like between January and February, right before COVID hit, or we're talking about like post-COVID, like right there when COVID started to progress and really get serious? Because I mean, even then there was a difference between those two economies. But just answering
Mhm.
your, but let me ask you though, which one are you talking about before I go off on a tangent here?
See, it's I honestly was
I'm not
just thinking
overthinking
over.
it.
Yeah, I was like, this man reversing it and making it harder for me. But honestly, just uh, just overall, but even if you just speak overall, but also speak on particularly that, like, how do you feel about how do you feel like I know we have the fear and everything, but overall, just uh, what do you think in contrast to now? And
Yeah.
what's going on, Debt Free Dad? My apologies, bro. I was just shouting out my boy.
Yeah. No worries. Yeah. So I mean, the economy has gotten it's gotten progressively worse, and we can see that in different aspects. One of which would be like just the cost of living itself. I mean, we're talking about groceries, everything, building material, everything like that has risen exponentially over the past couple of years. I think when COVID had hit, it really put a financial strain on the economy just because of how many businesses had to close involuntarily because of the pandemic. Now as things started to get slightly better. And we're still not all the way there yet, but they started to open back up the economy, and these businesses started to resume business as usual, or actually the new norm, because it will never be as it once was. But trying to get as close to it as possible, they started to open things back up. But you know what? Me personally, I really think that COVID, allowed people to see that there's more than just one way of working that typical corporate job. You know what I'm saying? Because beforehand, now tell me if I'm lying. Beforehand, these companies would tell you that working from home isn't an option. Then all of a sudden, COVID came, and then all of a sudden, these companies have the capability of giving you the equipment, and setting you up so that you can work from the comforts of your own home. You know what I'm saying? And people have really gotten comfortable with that. I mean, I know I'm guilty of it as well. I've gotten really comfortable with it. I didn't think it was an option. If you asked me this time 2019, I would have said I'm probably never going to be working from home. But now, I mean, look, so I think that played a part in it. And a lot of people, for whatever reason, well, I'm not going to say a lot of people, but there's really a shortage with a lot of these companies right now, getting people to actually come in and work. So I think it's a culmination of things, but there's quite a few things that has led to the economy to be where it is now. And again, we're seeing that on a day-to-day basis with if it's not gas prices, it's the price of foods, which was once this price. Now it's again, it's high. It's ridiculous, honestly. And then building material, even just labor. Again, this plays back to the shortage in people willing to do the work. So all of that plays a role in it. But yeah, the economy is definitely, to answer your question, worse off than we were a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and crazy enough, if I got to go to the office more than twice a week, I'm a finding.
I know that's right.
Yeah,
Facts.
Marcus. Yeah, it's
Facts.
facts. It's like, honestly, with everything going on, it's tough, from my economic standpoint. But the way that everything has transpired the last couple of years, but working remote is such a sigh of relief. Honestly, and not to necessarily just speak for my uncle, but me and him, we both can agree on, we kind of love that solitude, and I think we both could be very personable, though. I think, not to toot our horns, but people love us at the job, but that doesn't change the fact that we'd rather work alone, and I love it. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah, that's the truth. That's honestly the truth.
it,
Because at the end of the day, not to cut you off though, but
no,
we're both introverts. You know what I'm saying? Now, with that being said, we can go out and we can be personable, and we can, have those conversations, and people can gravitate towards us because of our personalities, because we're genuine, and people like that. That's like a scarce commodity nowadays with finding really genuine people. And I think that's why people really gravitate towards us, and why, and not trying to, not trying to sound cocky or anything like that, but I mean, it is what it is, right? But
Yep.
honestly, I don't want to speak for the both of us, but I know for me, that's
Mhm.
just based off of how I am, being an
Mhm.
introvert. It is honestly draining being around people all day and,
Mhm.
giving them so much of myself,
Mhm.
um, to the point that when I get home, and I'm just trying to decompress, I feel drained because I had to exert so much energy to keep up that facade of being that bubbly person, which I'm not. I like you said, if I had my choice, I like to be cornered off, in
Mhm.
my own, bubble and doing my own thing throughout the day. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And just to close off to cement that with working remotely, crazy enough, nothing against even my current manager, but it's almost like the culture they try to force you to engage sometimes when you don't want to. And honestly, just overall, with that personality type, they're probably going to create a whole case study with this too, but it's like for real, they're gonna dig deep and realize like um this is what they'll say. Like they'll say, like, oh well, if we were in office, you would have to, you would be talking and you nah, not necessarily true.
right,
Not necessarily true. And honestly, I wouldn't have applied for the job if it was on site. So that's the
exactly,
whole reason why, with where I'm currently at and everything is like people have realized there's all types of factors in it. But I do feel for a lot of people that are extroverted and crave that interaction. That's kind of what gets them going. And with what happened in 2020, I feel like that's played a big part uh and everything. Facts, virtual happy hour.
right,
I'm not coming to that. It's crazy, and then it's like, yeah, I gotta go in this meeting because they're giving out Uber Eats credits. What am I just take it and
right,
dip? I want to do it, but it's like, come on, like as long as my metrics are where they're at, or as long as I'm doing what I need to do, like why do I have to add why you have to add that extra part? There's another way in which you can make sure that you're keeping team morale up instead of forcing somebody that's not really gonna help their individual morale doing that. But
exactly.
um that's just what it is, man. That's a whole nother story in itself with teaching styles and leadership styles or whatever. And just, he might just be following what company is doing. But segueing out of that, aside from that, I know that you were, talking about the inflation, everything. I was reading this article from CNBC, and they said that somebody said the median probability of a recession over the next 12 months is 47.5%, up from 30% in June, according to a Bloomberg survey of economists completed last week. This article came out today. So if that doesn't tell you anything, I don't know what else you can say. And I'm not like the media that's going to just go around fear mongering and everything, but the reality is we're not where we need to be. And whether it's the government spending or whether it's the chaos with society or all these other external influences as well, the reality is we have to buckle down because stuff is getting real. Shit's getting real. I'll say this one cuss word ain't gonna kill him, but like
Right,
we have to like be self-aware, but at the same time not necessarily feel at your doom, but at the same time think, okay, what do I need to do to try to better insulate myself? What do you feel on that subject though, Rashaun?
I mean, what you just read, though, that's very damning. I mean, to say the least. To hear that, the the probability of a recession being so high. And what source did you say that was from?
CNBC, and they cited that from Bloomberg, from some economists. I just sent you the link too, so that you could get a look at it too. Uh,
Okay.
some other
Okay.
crazy stuff do. So definitely review that or look as we go on. It's
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And and those are reputable companies that we're talking, or
mhm,
businesses that we're talking about, that
mhm,
has a good feel for the economy and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I see it. I mean, anyone can see it if you're actually paying attention to the markets. looking at the stock market, looking at the current interest rates, things of that nature, you can see that it's leading to that point. Now it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter at this point when it will happen. So again, it's unfortunate, but that's that's the harsh reality of it all. I mean, that's just the predicament we're in at this point. So I guess the best thing to do is to have a very strict regimen when it comes to like your finances, and do everything in your power to make sure that you have that cushion, whether it be the emergency fund that you've saved, or whatever the case is, or cutting back in certain areas, budgeting, things like that. I think those are imperative, because we're living in some uncertain times at this point, and it doesn't look to be getting any better. In fact, it's going to get worse before it gets better. So.
Yep. It's like when we used to play outside and somebody get tackled hard. You know who, we ain't gonna drop his name, is tackle hard.
Right.
You'll feel it, but then you're gonna feel it later.
Right.
But it'll subside eventually. But yeah, man, definitely. Moving on past that. So I know we discussed the reasoning behind the name, and we discussed a little bit of economy, working remotely. One thing else I wanted to add too is just the outflux of business. I talked with Marcus about this also when we had our stream a week or so ago, and it's like there's been an outburst. So specifically, like I said, if somebody wants to have a business, it's perfectly fine, do them. So I'd say I definitely think it's admirable, and it's definitely a great time to try to go out on a limb. Of course, I'm a little bit more risk averse. Don't go out and say, hey, I'm going to run a trucking company and quit your job. And, some people, you might be able to jump off of that. But I say all that to say, Rashaun and I, both of our partners, dabble in a little business on the side as well. And, it's just amazing to see the influx of just small businesses just rising. And one of the things I wanted to I always not even get into talk to him. I talk to him about it all the time, is like the role social media plays in entrepreneurship, for good and for bad. And honestly, like with the way the market is looking now, when it comes to trying to find an opening and finding your niche, all it comes down to is just reeling in a little bit more of an audience. And right now, like, what do you think is aside from, of course, people going to try to gain some income from doing these businesses, what do you think is one of the biggest motivations right now? Do you think it's just the impact of the economy, or people just realizing it's easier than it looks to leverage social media to get sales or gain a bigger following for your business?
That's a great question. I mean, my personal views on it, well, I can't really speak on it, personally, because I am not a business owner. But I would imagine that, people looking at it, from the outside looking in, that are thinking about getting into it and starting their own business, they may be saying, hey, it's more of like, a comfort thing or security thing, I should say. They want to have something that they know that they can rely on, that's not going to be, if push comes to shove and the economy crashes, I mean, everyone would be impacted by it, but they know that they have something to where, they can essentially control their own fate. They don't have to really worry about, am I going to get laid off if things get, worse off, that type of thing. And really, it's becoming prevalent now, where we're seeing people leverage their social media profiles and things of that nature to facilitate growing their businesses and things of such. And I mean, honestly, just looking at the times that we're living in, you know, social media rules all, you know, so people spend a lot of time on social media. I know I get those. I don't know if you can relate, because I know you're business minded, and you're zero BS, right? So me, I have a lot more time on my hand. I know you're juggling several businesses and working full time and everything like that, but I get those updates on my phone that let me know my screen usage for the week,
Oh yeah.
and it is like predominantly powered by social media, like Instagram, things of that nature. And I'm sure I don't keep track of it. My phone does for me. It reminds me that I have a lot of idle time. So I'm scrolling through it, you know, throughout the day. If I'm at work, actually, let's scratch that. When I'm at work, I'm completely dedicated to the job. So
right.
social media.
Curious thing.
Right. No, but no, for real. I mean, a lot of people are on social media, and honestly, you know, these you know, these prospective business owners, they're looking at it as, you know, hey, now's the time to get in, you know, and get the exposure that I need. And you know, social media is the route to go, to get the, you know, to get that audience, to, you know, that audience that you're looking for whatever particular business you may be starting. So
Yep, and I just checked this out while you were saying that. I looked at, even if you're just looking at on your leisure time, you know, business or just personal side, because even me, I'll see that. Like honestly, I was looking, I was like, man, that's a lot. When you think about it, you know, whether working or not working, those little segments here, you might scroll in, before you know it, you don't realize how much time is there. And granted, you know, the app running, they're probably tracking that too.
right.
You don't close out the app every time, but it shows here, it says it's from Smart Insights, it said more than half of the world now uses social media. It said 58.4%. So 4.62 billion people around the world now use social media.
Wow.
The average daily time spent using social media is 2.5 hours. I'm saying, and of course that's weighted with, you know, the US and probably some country all the way out over in Asia, and that's still some crazy numbers, you know. So whether or not you're using it for good or for evil, it's taking your time or giving you time, it's ingrained, it's part of the culture now.
That's facts, man.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like just overall, we're just at a point where I think we're going into a transition period now, where essentially this is not going anywhere. Social media is not going to go anywhere. So it's just a matter of how we use it, how we absorb it, because subconsciously, whether subconsciously or consciously, we're getting a lot of content that's influencing our thinking, our decision making, and everything. You know, sort of like, you know, when we were at school and they talked about the marketing aspect of those commercials, the food, and how it triggers something in our brain to go buy that junk and everything. So
yeah,
man.
Hey, you know, and you know, you brought up a good point, something I was just thinking of, and I was telling my you know, my significant other the other day. I like to watch mukbangs on YouTube and on Instagram, and it's to the point now. I mean, Instagram knows what I look at, so like when I'm on my Discover page, it's a whole bunch of different mukbangs that pop up or whatever. Hey, I mean, and that is a business, you know. That is sometimes, you know, in certain cases, that's their full-time jobs right there. You know, entertainers with eating and reviewing different foods and stuff like that. But I know for me, as a consumer or someone that's watching, you know, the stuff that they put out there, I get hungry as hell watching this stuff. I mean, I don't know about anybody else. I mean, I like to eat, you know. But I see them eating certain stuff, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we need to go order this, or you know what, I'm gonna have to book a flight and go to California or go to wherever they are to try that because it looks good, it looks appetizing. So I mean that it just comes back around to just capitalizing on what's selling and what's big right now, and at the end of the day, it's social media, and you're gonna get eyes on your material if it's interesting enough. And there's always different, you know, niches that you can find. And there's always going to be certain viewers that really are into what it is that you're trying to promote. So
Yep. And it just ties back in like my previous the RFBM episode where I had with my friend Cheyenne, and how she's like grown big on the Instagram. So she does like body positive content, fashion, and she's a blogger and whatnot. And she literally went from, I think she had like maybe 1,000 followers to like 35,000 followers, bro. And counting. She's probably more than that now, but she gets brand deals. They pay her. People pay her to review different things and everything. And I say that to say, because what you were talking about with the mukbang, these people, whether they know it or not, especially when they mention these businesses, they're influencers and they're marketing and they're doing advertisement, whether paid or free, for these people. So like now we don't even have just these corporate entities to worry about. We have just regular people like us, or you or me, going up on live, eating food or posting things on the internet. It's just like they're creating that trigger, and you're like, man, now I want to try this, and now I want to do this. So it's like somebody's making money on any end, whether it's the app, whether it's them, whether it's not us because we're paying for it, but somebody making money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's truth. It's a symbiotic relationship, right? Ain't that what they call it?
Yep.
Everybody eats at the end of the day.
Yeah,
literally and metaphorically in this case.
Yeah, everybody getting a dig. Everybody getting a dig. Exactly. But one other thing I wanted to add before we close this episode, of course, we gonna talk offline. That's family. But what I wanted to say also, bro, is there's just that aspect I never talked about before. Of course, don't disclose any necessarily company details and everything, but just because I think it's interesting, tell the viewers about the type of work that you do on a day-to-day basis, because that ties hand in hand with a lot of things in the finance industry.
Yeah, so with what I do, just to keep it short and sweet, I'm essentially a compliance analyst. So previously, what I did in my my role prior to the one that I have currently, it was enhanced due diligence is essentially what it was. So I work for a international wire company, and we look into certain transfers, digging into figuring out what the source of the funds are, making sure that it's legit and there's no funny business going on, no money laundering or anything like that. Now I work within the strategic side of things. So some of the bigger companies that look to partner with us, I go through and look through their compliance infrastructure just to make sure it aligns with our companies, and determine whether that partnership makes sense and is within our risk appetite. So some may call it boring, but I definitely find it interesting, and I learn something new every day with it. So
Nah, absolutely. And I totally forgot. And congrats again on the promotion. I totally forgot that you were going in for a year and really say what it was, though. So I didn't know. But yeah, man. Honestly, well, for those that don't know, my, he's probably not on the same mindset on me, but I'm a little bit of a hybrid. So some stuff that people will say is boring, I think it's fascinating. This particularly, I have fascinated. Now, I'm granted, of course, there might be aspects I'm like, man, bland or whatever, but I think that's fascinating because I like to be able to, it's like going under somebody's nail beds, like you're going digging deep and really seeing what's beneath the surface. And honestly, even from some jobs that I've worked in the past, like I wish I had that end on what he was doing, because there's a lot of things, whether legal or illegal, that are going on. People don't know. You would think you wouldn't even know. You think even whether the biggest companies or somebody that's just an individual person in that sector, they do some shady shit, man. They doing some questionable stuff, bro.
That's facts, bro. Like honestly, like just a quick story.
Mhm.
I always used to, I think even with you, but with you or whoever I'm sending money to, like through Cash App or PayPal or whatever, I used to put some like very raunchy, like suspect stuff in as like the description with it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think anything of it, and I didn't think anybody actually looks at it. But actually working behind the scenes for a company like that and seeing knowing what goes into it, and knowing that when you use certain words, there's algorithms to flag certain transactions, and they're like looking into it, trying to figure out what's going on to make sure, like for example, you put booty or whatever, and then put the little peach emoji or whatever like that. They're trying to make sure ain't no prostitution going on, on the screen. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that
Oh,
goes on.
man.
So it really opened my eyes, and I don't play those type of games anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, I didn't even think about that, but that
I
makes
stay, I
sense.
stay, I stay clear, bro. But like honestly, like working in that field has really opened my eyes to certain things, and it's definitely interesting to see like the inner workings, and knowing what goes into approving a payment before it actually is sent and stuff like that. So,
Oh man, well, I'm definitely clipping that up and putting that little portion there. But quick thing before we close, I think I want to do this in the future. I already enjoyed this. I hope you enjoy this too. But
yeah,
we got to do more of these. I have some topics in hand that I want to do as well. But quick before we leave out of here, well, for y'all at least. I just want to share a quick tip that I think that could help somebody, that's currently in a certain situation, and then you could share yours as well, or whatever you think might be helpful financially. But what I would tell people, I know I had a video in the past where I was talking about paying off debt. Granted, it probably didn't get as much clicks because I know a lot of you guys wanted to hear about the grants and the loans and everything and getting some credit cards or whatever. But this is definitely important. Some credit card companies, this is just some insider knowledge, will waive or decrease your interest rates if you simply call in and ask. Again, some credit card companies, if you simply call in and ask if you want to decrease your interest rate or have some, interest or a past due fee waived, if you ask, then they'll go ahead and look into it for you. And if they can't, go ahead and escalate a supervisor just to be safe. And granted, don't get all, aggressive, because honestly, just knowing from the inside and the out, from what I've seen and what I've heard, it's not going to be ideal. Granted, people have to do their job, but people, anybody, any sector, you act a certain way to them, they're going to be less inclined to help you out. But I say that to say, because even back when I had a card some years ago, I just called in just to see, because I did a balance transfer and wanted to take care of some stuff. It seemed like they weren't going to say anything, but because I mentioned it, the way in which they talked, it's like, okay, so it sounds like they can't just go out ahead and take care of it for you if they see it. But if you request, then by their policy, depending on the company, they'll go ahead and look into waiving it, or past due or interest, or lowering your interest, waiving the interest charge and things like that. So it's just the premise of overall. We know even in business, granted, I wish I would have networked more. I'm sure Rashaun, he's fine, he's happy where he's at. But we even talked, probably would have been better if we were a little bit more outgoing. But just circling back, that's why it doesn't hurt to ask. It doesn't hurt to ask, because there's a lot of companies, a lot of things, a lot of opportunities, not just overall just trying to, get a help with your debt or anything, that can do things. But I mean, just understand, they're in the business of making money. They're not going to look out for you. They're making money off your debt, but that's a tip. Y'all go ahead and inquire, look into if you can get the interest lowered or you can get it waived, especially at this time where the prime rate is increasing. For those that don't know, search prime rate. But yeah, what's the one tip or something that you say, share, that you think could help somebody out?
Yeah, for me, I say there's certain financial institutions out there that offer free budgeting sessions.
Mm,
That's something that I I'm a big proponent of. I recommend it to anyone out there that's struggling on a month to month basis to keep up with the bills that they have. Reach out. Like Shamar just said, it doesn't hurt to ask. You'll never know if you don't ask. Ask your financial institution if they have financial advisors that you can speak to for free that can help you with budgeting. And if not, it was worth a shot.
mhm,
No harm in asking, and if they do, I mean, it could definitely be a benefit to you. Also, just give you a quick plug. Um, Circle K, ask them about their gas coupons because
mhm.
they do have coupon booklets that they give out. Some participate in locations, and you get up to 20 cents off per gallon with the booklet
Mm,
coupon. So
mm,
something to keep in
mhm.
mind.
Okay. Yep. Yep. I appreciate that. That's good. That's good because budgeting. People don't realize. I get it. We all could use a little bit more money, but we all could agree that we could maximize our situation a little bit more if we know what's going in, what's coming out, so that
Right.
we can cut back where we can, or even if you can't come back, at least you're knowledgeable of where you at and you can think about what you can do to go forward. But yep. Um. As always, y'all, I appreciate the support. We're going to make it a close again. Comment, like, comment, subscribe, share to friends. Just let me know if you think it's trash. Let me know. If you think it's great. Let me know. Keep it respectful though. Don't go crazy. But yeah, I appreciate the support. Thanks for coming on to the show, Rashaun. And honestly, this is a great to build off of. I like this. I'm using this thing called StreamYard. Yeah, I didn't let them put that overlay on my video, but shout out to them because this is smooth. But once again, this is RFBM, raising the financial bar with Mar. Peace, love, blessings. Take care.
Our own mind has to be changed. We have to change our mind about ourselves.
But this world is such a gimme. Everybody back off. Everybody's like taught that from school.
I don't come to bow, I come to conquer.